In East Africa, Ethiopia to be more precise, there is a church that was carved out of a rock. And when I say a church, I'm talking about no other than LALIBELA. This church was carved out of a rock in Ethiopia. And it is speculated that they had help from UFO, aliens. And the white media and the Westerners say it is difficult and is literally impossible that these objects and structures were created by Ethiopians.
LALIBELA were constructed with the help of celestial beings. Why? Was it to worship God? Or was it to honor some other mystical or extraterrestrial being?
So guys, what do you think? Was the LALIBELA structure constructed by the Ethiopians? Or did the Ethiopians had help from aliens, just like it was said by the white media? Well, we're here to find out. Please stay tuned. In a mountainous region in the heart of Ethiopia, 645 kilometers from Addis Ababa, 11 medieval monolithic churches were carved out of rock. Their building is attributed to the king LALIBELA, who set out to construct in the 12th century a new Jerusalem after the Muslim conquest halted Christian pilgrims to the Holy Land. LALIBELA flourished after the decline of Aksum Empire. There are two main groups of churches to the north of the river Jordan. Beti Medanhi Alem, which means House of Savior of the World. Beti Mariam, which means House of Mary. Beti Maskal, which means House of the Cross. Beti Denagel, which means House of Virgins. Beti Golgotha Mikel, which means House of Golgotha Mikel. And to the south of the river, Beti Emmanuel, which means House of Emmanuel. Beti Gedus Mercurius, which means House of Saint Mercurius. Beti Abba Lebanos, which means House of Abbot Lebanos. Beti Gabriel Raphael, which means House of Gabriel Raphael. And Beti Lenen, which means House of Holy Bread. The 11th church, Beti Georgis, which means House of St. George, is isolated from the others, but connected by a system of trenches. The churches were not constructed in a traditional way, but rather were hewn from the living rock of monolithic blocks. These blocks were further chiseled out, forming doors, windows, columns, and various floors and roofs. This gigantic work was further completed with an extensive system of drainage, trenches, and ceremonial passages, some with opening to hermit caves and catacombs. Beti Medani Alem, with its 5 assholes, is believed to be the largest monolithic church in the world. While Beti Georgis has a remarkable cruciform plan, most were probably used as churches from the outset, but Beti Mercurius and Beti Gabriel Raphael may formerly have been royal residences. Several of the interiors are decorated with mural paintings. Near the churches, the village of LALIBELA has 2-story round houses constructed of local red stone and known as Lasta Tukums. these exceptional churches have been a focus of pilgrimage for Coptic Christians since the 12th century. The king LALIBELA set out to build a symbol of the Holy Land when pilgrimages to it were rendered impossible by the historical situation. In the church of Beth Golgotha are replicas of the tomb of Christ and of Adam and the crib of the Nativity. The holy city of LALIBELA became a substitute for the holy place of Jerusalem and Bethlehem, and as such has had considerable influence on Ethiopian Christianity. The whole of LALIBELA offers an exceptional testimony to the medieval and the post-medieval civilization of Ethiopia. So guys, with this brief history, I'm sure it has been able to clear everyone's doubt that this was actually built and constructed by Ethiopians. It is clearly stated that it was attributed to the king LALIBELA. And he built it because the Muslims were having a conquest, like a war or something, and pilgrimages could not go to as pilgrims to either Jerusalem or other holy city. So he had to bring it back home, and he created it as the new Jerusalem, like a holy city. So the fact that it was made out of rock and stones doesn't mean it is impossible to be done by Africans, by Ethiopians, so to say. And they argue that it is impossible because even with the modern day machinery, it's difficult to cut through rocks and stones. That how was it so easy for the Ethiopians to make such an outstanding structure with just chisel and hammer?
The enduring mystery is why. Why did King LALIBELA attempt the seemingly impossible when easier building techniques were known?
As the story goes, he was helped by angels.
Yes.
Who worked on the project overnight.
And people fail to understand, like I always say, when good things come out from Africa, it is mostly judged around the world, and it is mostly said that no, they had help from outside source. It was done by aliens, so to say. Take a good look at the pyramid in Egypt, for example. It is widely speculated that the Egyptians had help from aliens, that it was not built by Egyptians. And coming to talk about the LALIBELA church that was carved from stones, and there are different documentaries about it, and most of them said that the Ethiopians said they had help from angels, right? They had help from angels, and the other interviewer was like laughing, oh, angels came and gave them the idea, so to say. But I think people fail to understand the level of understanding and the skill that Africans possess. The fact that this structure was built in Ethiopia, in Africa, doesn't mean the Ethiopians had help from outsiders. It was built by Ethiopians, and it was attributed to their king LALIBELA, and it was called the Holy City, the New Jerusalem, so that pilgrimages can just, people that want to worship God, the Christians, can come together and worship and all that. Well, people say, oh, it was not built by them, blah, blah, blah. Like I always say, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Africans and Ethiopians know their history. They know how the whole thing came to be. They know about the king LALIBELA and how he embarked on this journey to create this church and everything. So this is to clear a doubt. It was not built by any alien. It was not built by any white civilization. It was not built by Europeans. It was never built by none of those people. This church was created and constructed by the Ethiopians. and it was attributed to their king LALIBELA. I'm sure this is clear now. The fact that building is in Africa does not mean it is impossible to do. It was created by the Ethiopians. So that's it, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below.